Why is there so much confusion with TRID and the construction loan requirements? Hi there, this is Jared Moyer with Bankers Compliance Consulting. Today I'm coming to you from the deck in my backyard. And as you can see over my shoulder, I thought what a more appropriate setting than this in front of a house being built. You can see I'm going to have new neighbors here very shortly. So let's get back to that confusion. So TRID and construction lending. Why does all that confusion exist? Well, I believe there's a couple different reasons for it. First off, TRID 1.0, the original rollout of TRID, completely missed the mark and ignored construction lending altogether. It's like they got it done and they pencil whipped it out, and then 6 months or a few months in, they go, oh yeah, we missed the mark on construction lending. And so there just was no instruction with construction loans in TRID whatsoever, the first rollout. Number two, the webinar that came out in March of 2016 was supposed to add some clarity and lessen the confusion with TRID, but it really only just added to it. They provided some options, they gave guidance, but really missed the mark by not providing examples. And I mean examples on the actual loan estimate and closing disclosure forms. I'll talk more about those in a bit, but I think that would go a long way in aiding our industry. It's one thing to talk about how to do it. It's another thing to talk about it and give real life examples on the forms where it's required. The third thing is TRID 2.0, which is going to give us a laundry list of new instructions for TRID, and most of it's real good. The problem is it doesn't take effect until October 1st of this year, 2018. It came out July of last year, so we're in this limbo period where you can do this or that and even piecemeal together. To me, that just kind of adds to the confusion along the way. Well, there's one area that I want to tackle today and kind of demonstrate this confusion and this timeline that goes along with it. And that's construction holdbacks. So let me set it up and make sure everybody understands what construction holdbacks are so that we can talk about them and understand them together. So construction holdbacks, I come to you and say, hey, I'd like to build a home like the one you see behind me. And say, yeah, Jared, we can help you out with that. So I get the $500,000 to build that home that you see behind me. I get a loan from you to do that. But you're not going to let me walk around with that $500,000 because while I'm walking around with that $500,000 in my back pocket, I might see that shiny new car or this or that that's new and shiny that I think I should have. And I shouldn't spend the money that's earmarked for that house on other things. And that's something you're concerned about. It's not safe and sound banking. And so what you do is you give me the $500,000, but you really don't give it to me. You take it back from me and you put it in a suspense account, and we call that construction holdbacks. I go and I get lien waivers from contractors and I spend the money, and then you allow it to walk out the door a little bit at a time. You also don't allow me to walk around town with it. So that's the whole concept behind the construction holdbacks. Now, how does that relate to this timeline that I just laid out for you? Well, let's go back to TRID 1.0, 2015. TRID 1.0 completely dismisses construction lending, doesn't even talk about it at all, and that just kind of adds to the confusion. What then happened is, since there's no clarity, no guidance whatsoever at this point, lenders are kind of doing, things like the Old West out there, doing whatever they want, making it up as they go, making the math work, and that can cause all kinds of problems because you have software and systems and they have to be completed a certain way in order to receive a compliance pass for the disclosures themselves. So TRID 1.0 caused the confusion by a lack of anything with regard to construction lending. The March 2016 webinar. We got some good guidance there. They provided us options for things like construction holdbacks. They missed the mark. There was a lack of clarity that was incomplete, and then again, no examples on the forms on actually how to do this. Now those options, most of them weren't very good. Now there was one that was good, and it's actually what we're going to talk about that ended up being the requirement under TRID 2.0, but that guidance, while it was important at the time, it wasn't enough. It kind of missed the mark. That brings us to TRID 2.0, July 2017. Lots of stuff in there. So how are we going to handle holdbacks from a required standpoint come October 1st? And keep in mind, you can be doing it this way already. On the loan estimate, holdbacks are going to be factored into the funds for borrower calculation. What that means is it's going to happen behind the scenes. It's not something that's going to be transparent to your customer, at least not on the loan estimate. It just means you got to fill in the software correctly in order to get the correct result. We're also going to do the very same thing on the closing disclosure, but we're going to add a layer to it. You're still going to have the construction holdbacks calculated and factored into that funds for borrower calculation, but we're going to go one step further. On page 3 of the closing disclosure, just below the funds for borrower, the calculating cash to close table, there is the summaries of transactions table, section K and section L. Well, we're going to start out in section L. In section L, you're actually going to give me the $500,000 to build that house. But again, you're not going to let me walk around town with it because that wouldn't be safe and sound banking practices. You're going to tell me that you're going to put it in a suspense account and that as I bring you lien waivers, you'll give me the funds to pay the contractors or you'll cut the checks to do that. But again, I don't get to walk around town with money that's earmarked to complete that house. You're going to show me then up in section K. You're going to disclose on one of those lines construction holdbacks. And you're going to tell me that you're going to take that money from the loan proceeds that you showed me in section L. You're going to take it back from me in section K. You're going to put it in a suspense account. And as I need it, you'll cut the checks and let those funds go out. So ultimately I can own that house and pay off the contractors and the materials and all the things that go along with it. So that's construction holdbacks, the timeline, and how they end up being disclosed under TRID 2.0. So here's the deal. If you're interested in hearing more about construction holdbacks or the other nuances that go along with TRID and construction lending, you're in luck. On August 8th, we're going to be providing a 2-hour webinar called TRID All About Construction Loans. We hope that you'll join us as we turn TRID into plain English. So get registered today. Thanks.